Another week, and the week before the fantasy playoffs. Man, it is crunch time. How you doing, Jeremy? How you feeling across your leagues?
Um, I'm feeling like I need to make some deals. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, this is most of my
Came to
trade
the right
deadlines are
place.
heading up. Eh, most of my trade deadlines are right now, and so I need to figure out those teams where I maybe can cash out a few players that I don't need, or make some win now trades to kind of bolster that playoff run. Because in those leagues you can't trade week 16, week 17, the last thing you want to be doing is starting Tim Patrick Jr. at the wide receiver spot because that's the only wide receiver on waivers, which I had to do last year. That stuck with me. I'm still scarred.
I feel that. Yeah, it's and it's just like the time period too. Like there's all these pockets in the dynasty season, in season and off season of player values
Mhm.
changing, and what different value change than right before the fantasy playoffs for some teams that are like for sure out of it completely, and teams that are on the bubble, teams that are fighting for a bye. So yeah, we already got the how about them Panthers. Do you want to take a couple minutes for the beating the best team in the NFL, or I guess second best team in the NFL now after losing to the Panthers?
I will say, I don't think there's probably been a bigger win for the Panthers in the past like 7 years. Like this was a team we had no business beating, and it wasn't like a Packers game where nothing was going on. Right, the Packers didn't do anything. Our offense and defense both showed up and held us in that game. Um, so I'm optimistic. I'm hoping that we are developing defensive chemistry to actually be a competent team, and I don't know if I'm in the Panthers streets, and there was a lot of heat on Canales for how he ran the 49ers game plan of Rico Dowdle getting like 6 touches and
Yeah.
Chuba getting like 3, and we were in the game the whole time. And the second half, I think it started off with like a 20-something yard run by Rico Dowdle, and that was the last time he ran the ball. And it's like, how do you start the half with a big play and then just give up on that? So I think the Panthers are kind of, they're not one dimensional, but they're not like three dimensional. To me they can win a very particular way. And when the game script goes in that favor where they can run the ball and then use that to kind of build off Bryce Young's passing game, which we saw with Ted. Ted didn't get a ton of usage, but he had that one big touchdown. Um, I think that's kind of how the Panthers stay in it.
Mm.
But I think they're super serious? No, I still don't think that. But hey, we may win the division. We may. We
Any
still have
given
a
Sunday,
tough
man.
schedule though. Two games against the Bucks. We play the Seahawks as well. So it ain't going to be easy. But that's one of the wins that you need to have because we need to be able to hang with the Bucks and hopefully win the division because I don't know if we're sneaking in the wild card. It's pretty competitive this year.
Yeah. No, yeah, that was a stunning game. I think like from a dynasty perspective, there were a couple interesting tidbits. I mean, we don't need to do the Bryce Young back and forth inconsistency, but this was one of those weeks where
Bryce Young.
the key throws were made. I think the more interesting dynasty combo for definitely like playoff pushes is the Rico Chuba split. Chuba getting a little more work for sure. Obviously we saw him kind of taking over the passing game as well. Is this finger stocks up for your Chuba
Oh no, I'm
stocks?
pointing to my signed Bryce Young football. I just have to sell it after he has a good week. It fluctuates like 80% in value. I do think it's interesting. It was definitely a Chuba renaissance in terms of usage there, um, which is a little odd, but I think that's kind of what you have to expect. I don't think the Rico bell cow usage is something that we're going to see throughout the year. It's
Yeah.
probably just going to be who's the hot hand. And it's going to stink from a fantasy perspective because sometimes you're going to have Chuba on your bench and he's going to go off for a lot of points. And other times you're going to start him, he's going to score 3 because Rico is going off.
And he ripped that big play
You know,
early, and Chuba even talked about to the like coming back from the injury too early, that thing. So there's definitely some, I think, merit. Like Rico didn't lose it for no reason. Like the hot hand thing and him coming back from the injury, I think makes sense. But if this is a
yeah, and
beating the
Chuba's
Rams
not
kind of
like
team,
trash.
yeah,
Beating the Rams kind of team. The Bucks couldn't do it, so watch out.
What is up, Kyle? In one of my leagues, I have a 50% chance to make the playoffs as a rebuild. That's kind of an interesting. I've had a couple teams like that where like the plan was not to necessarily like go in with like picks or some of the more dynasty assets I had, and then you're kind of on the edge. And it's you get those weeks too as a rebuilder where you like have another team's first and you beat that team because you've just like you've hit on a couple of your rookie picks in the last years. But yeah, I think let us know if you're like have a specific kind of move you would want to make, Kyle, because like when you're on the edge of making the playoffs, I say go for it. Like if your team is good enough to be in the playoffs any given Sunday, there's not like a crazy super team that would hold you back from doing this. I would definitely be willing to move the second round pick, maybe not the third, for Tyrone Tracy right before he hurts his hip, like I did in Alpha Daddy with Jeremy. But thank you, Jeremy, for the Easter present of giving me Tyrone Tracy for a third.
Yeah, well, I was in a thankful mood. I wanted to give you some thanks, but yeah, I mean, it's hard when you have those teams that kind of just hover around the I'm not bad enough to be a true rebuilder and kind of outlive the expectations. But with all that being said, I think fantasy football variance is a thing, and I just want to be in the playoffs. Like,
there's probably a reason
especially
you're
if your
there
league
too.
has top 3. Yeah, like if your league also has top 3 payout, then it's like I literally just have to win 2 or 3 games and I'm at least breaking even. And if my expectation was to be bottom 3 in the league and I'm top 3, or I have a chance to be, I'm going to take it. And it doesn't even mean you got to push in. It just might mean instead of the 105, you're going to have the 108. Okay, like I can deal with that. I mean, Egbuka was 108 some this year. I mean, we don't know. You just want a high value pick and keep kind of stacking value on value. And is with those rebuilds from value, then they're really a true rebuild.
Yeah, for sure. The man, this one's I don't want to click this one as somebody that's traded for some Lamar heading into this week off some teams that weren't competing just because of him being hurt earlier in the season. But at what point do I bench Lamar? As a Ravens fan and Lamar owner in multiple leagues, I've been embarrassed the last few weeks. What is it? 3 straight single digit fantasy point weeks? Like that just does not happen for Lamar. I think it's like Ravens offense is a little off. He's missing like a decent amount throughout the games. I don't know. I don't want to fully like give up and like bench for anybody, but like Lamar or Jacoby, throw it 45 times per set. Like there's a lot of, I think, realistic, decent options you would have on Lamar teams. They're playing Pittsburgh this week.
It's tough. I was wrestling between 2 players that coming into the year, coming into even 3 weeks ago, you're sitting there and saying elite dynasty assets and also elite producers for the rest of the year. And Lamar Jackson is one of them, and also like Justin Jefferson. And both of those players, you're like, they still have that elite value. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, like, at what point do I just say, if I'm a contender, if I'm trying to win, when do I just say, hey, maybe I just try to cash out on Lamar? Because is Lamar going to score as much as a different quarterback, and I can just bank some extra value or bank some additional win now pieces, or try to trade up? Or, if a rebuilding team has a player that's like out of the mix, like a Drake May or a Josh Allen or something but they're not in the mix, do you say, hey, do I add to Lamar and just get a player that I know is not going to score 4 points or something ridiculous? It's tough. It really comes down to like, who do you have on your bench to where you feel good about it? Because Lamar is one of those players where I'm also sitting there and I'm like, I'm going to have a hard time if bench him and he drops 30 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather just be like, hey, he scored 4 points, I'm out of the playoffs, but I started my studs. Like, it's just the stupid just start your studs logic. But it's with the Lamar, I'm like, I don't want to overanalyze it and then have him go off. And I'm like, well, he was just coming back from injury, and I was too reactive on that decision.
Yeah. The Jets game was spookier to me than the Cincinnati game, even though you would probably say the Cincinnati defense is worse. I think it's a similar conversation to Justin Jefferson. I think that's probably one that's a more like realistic 100%. If you have JJ right now as a contending team, it feels like, why would I not just at least see what it would look like to move in a similar tier of dynasty asset for more guaranteed point production, especially if that's for teams outside of the playoff mix right now. But it's spooky. Let us know. Anyone that has like these specific type of moves that you're either hearing about or have inquired about with Justin Jefferson. I inquired with the JSN owner, which is funny after JSN's week this last week. But I mean, I'm willing, like right here, Jefferson and a third for Rashee Rice as the number 1 seed. How should I feel? I mean, I think Rice is like matched JSN's production since like week 8, and a lot of it's probably buoyed by touchdowns, but we've talked about it, extension of the run game. Would you do Jefferson in a third for Rice as a contending team that has the bye locked in?
Man,
what's the realistic?
I do think I would. Because I think Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice is much higher than people realize. Like I probably value him around like an Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just given the production, what he's actually scoring. If you look at his production, I think in the
think
past
about when the extension hits.
4 weeks or 5 weeks. Yeah, he's wide receiver in WAR, and it's like it's just the amount of usage he has. Sure, it's not always the flashiest. You won't have the biggest Scott Hansen cuts to JSN blowing a 40-yard reception, but Rashee Rice gets so many high volume and high value opportunities in the offense, especially in the red zone, that I think the market is still a little slow on. He is a guy that if you're literally just doing a lateral move, like I feel good about. And I do think the Jefferson long-term thing, like angle, is a little bit more concerning from than Lamar's. Lamar, you're like, okay, he's injured. He has a hammy. He probably can't move around. He probably can't set his foot the same. Justin Jefferson, it's like there's nothing wrong with him. He's just dealing with 9. I mean, he's just dealing with the internet meme himself. So and I don't know how that situation is going to play out in a way that makes me feel good about him even being a locked in top 1, 2, 1A, 1B with Jamar Chase. Like to me, I'm like, sure, he's totally a wide receiver 1 going into next year in Dynasty. But I'm also sitting there and I'm like, well, like Amon-Ra, like I'd probably rather have Amon-Ra. CeeDee Lamb, I'd probably rather have CeeDee Lamb. JSN, Puka, like Neighbors coming back healthy. Obviously, Neighbors in this situation, but Neighbors coming back healthy with Jackson Dart's probably a better situation. It's like there's so much uncertainty around the situation that it makes it a little harder to be like, yes, I feel good about him long term. Maybe it is a cash out. I'm curious, how far down would you go for, like, would you? Because basically a third, like, is kind of just a 1-for-1.
Yeah,
but I don't feel like I would go much lower than like Rice or Nico. Maybe I feel like you could get a good plus on Pickens, probably.
That's probably the one that's the most like realistic in terms of expectations at the start of the year to where we're at right now in expected production heading into the week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, JJ, he's hovered around wide receiver 6, Dynasty Daddy. Yeah, Pickens is interesting because I wouldn't necessarily like, I see, like pivots to like McMillan or even Nico. Like I love Nico, and like my hope and prayer is that things were figured out a little bit for Houston's offense over the Stroud concussion weeks. But in terms of like expectations to smash for a week, I feel a lot more confident in Rice and Pickens in terms of like that style of deal for like what I'm doing for my team.
Well, we'll say past 5 games, 14 points, 22 points, 24 points, 8.5 points, 21 points from Nico Collins.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's good production. But yeah, I mean, I do agree. Like the Rice upside, it's hard. Like if I was trying to go for like a big one, right? Like if I want to do a bigger swing and not say I want to go all the way down to Rice, like if it's like a Lamb or like, I feel like a Lamb is like a second or so, right? Like is it a 1-for-1 swap with the Lamb manager, or going up to like JSN. I feel like you kind of have to put like a first on him at this point.
Yeah, I think
The
that
JSN Puka.
I think the tough thing is just like the context around what the deal is itself. It's like I wouldn't be taking that as the CD, the JSN manager if the Jefferson owner was knocking on my door, just from the context of, or the thought process of, I think sometimes Dynasty gamers focus too much on what the peak value could be for a player. And that is what their expectation is in terms of Dynasty value, of like, that will hit for Jefferson at some point. And so why would I move off of that for something that I think is lesser of like the highest tier outcome? And like, okay, Jefferson gets traded to the Bills, like that, like insane, unrealistic outcome, versus best case scenario is probably someone is brought in next year to be the quarterback. And, someone like Rice in terms of situation. Pickens is a little bit interesting of a conversation because probably brought back. Cowboys have been a little bit weird with contracts. Wonder how the franchise tag situation would go for someone who's having the production George Pickens has and is able to kind of come to the conversation with, I'm worth a lot more. If I down tiered off JJ, I'd want a for sure wide receiver 1. Are we sure Pickens is a true number 1 next year? I'd want a big add because of that uncertainty. I think it's a little bit too like, we can have the conversations about Pickens specifically, but I think it's more of finding the manager that would be motivated to do that kind of deal. And it's probably somebody who's out of the playoffs and is fine eating the Jefferson is not going to produce through the rest of the year. So I guess with that out of the way, how much would you want on top of Pickens? Would it need to be like a contending piece that is like moving the needle in your lineup, like some sort of meaningful running back or other elder statesman wide receiver
Here's
upgrade?
one in the trade database. 12 teams start 9. Justin Jefferson for Chase Brown and George Pickens.
A lot of Samaje P.
I feel like I'd need a little bit more, but this one's an interesting. 10 teams start 11. Amarion Hampton, George Pickens, and Justin Jefferson. I feel like that's an easy Amarion Hampton side there, especially with the reports that he's supposed to play on Monday. But still, I mean, both Hampton and Pickens next year, you should feel pretty confident about going forward. And we don't really know what the Justin Jefferson situation is. I mean, at this point, bring back Carson Wentz. That's the best he looked all year.
I do think it'll be some competition next year.
It's hard. Yeah, no, they have to bring in someone. I heard rumors they were like going after Daniel Jones, but I have a hard time seeing the Colts let Daniel Jones go, unless if he pulls like a pure Darnold and over like the past like rest of the season and they like finish 9-8 and it's just a disaster.
Yeah, the Fibula stuff is weird, but I think he looked pretty good. He's probably not going to run as much, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the end of the season goes. But yeah, I think generally
12 team.
Go for it. Hit me with it.
I was going to say 12 teams start 10, half PPR. George Pickens a 26 first for Jefferson. Is that?
I like that. I mean,
Are you going to be like, no, I need like something else? I think it's a first-ish in a value.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to say because Jefferson was one of those like 3 first-round picks. Like you sell your soul for him.
I mean, why isn't Pickens? But here's the thing. Like, I think with that, the context of that trade, why isn't Pickens in like close to 2 first type mode right now to pry that off somebody's roster? And that I think that's where I mean,
I don't know. It's the stigma of the franchise tag and like him only doing it for like 1 year. But I do agree. I mean, he's looked phenomenal.
And I think too, it's like it's what I'm seeing right now. And with someone like Pickens, I mean, prospect people liked the like injury stuff too. Going in the second round. The one part that makes the most sense, I think, to most people is just like the Steelers being a reasonable environment for a wide receiver like Pickens to not produce good fantasy numbers. The Russell Wilson Steelers, not the greatest scenario for a wide receiver 1 production.
Justin Fields,
right? But let's hit some of these trades. I know we've got a live stream ask. I've got queued up and ready. 12 by 11. What's up, Sean? Superflex tiered PBR 0.2 point per carry. Retooling team trade T-Law for Kyler and Wandale. How much do you hate T-Law?
Is it okay? Okay, I know there might be a player I can't quit because I just feel like the floor, like he's a falling knife, but for every time it falls, I'm like, that's good value.
Mm.
Like to me, I'm like a 12 team start 11, so a little bit deeper, tiered PPR. Wendell's a pretty decent piece in this type of league where you need to start a lot of players. And what's the difference between a T Law versus Kyler? Probably not a huge difference when they're both playing.
One is a contract that we are expecting to play 100% next year, but I think Kyler is in some sort of situation where he's able to start next year. Too many bad quarterbacks playing
And that's a
NFL
statement
football
to
right
Wendell, honestly.
now. Yeah.
Honestly, that's more of a statement on Wendell because I would always, he would be my bad wide receiver throw in that I
He's fine.
used last offseason. And now he kind of proved me wrong a bit.
Dude, he's kind of a baller. I just remember that you remember that CD clip where he was just like, you know who's nice? Wan'Dale Robinson on the Giants. Like he is smooth. It's just the PPR scam stigma. I'm probably retooling team. I think if I am deep in the woodshed of like I need assets in a 12 by 11, like I'm retooling for a heavy reason, I could find myself doing that. But I think if I wouldn't just do this if I'm not too worried about adding additional assets in terms of like that I feel confident I could start.
Browns, Kyler Murray, gonna be great.
Browns, Kyler. Dude, honestly, the spots, Browns, Vikings would be funky. Saints. Though Shuck hasn't been.
It's got to be Vikings because the Vikings are desperate. We trade 9 for
Jets
for Kyler.
Do you think Glenn is a Kyler guy? That's the only thing that doesn't get me with that the Kyler to the Jets thing.
I think after the Justin Fields experience, he's going to be like, no, let me just pick like Mendoza or something and just
it's gonna be
have a brand, like a new taste.
It's gonna be
I need a new car every once in a while.
It's gonna be a Tyrod gave us a big spark at the end of the year. We're gonna give him a go this year. That's what it's gonna be. And in that same vein, Adonai Mitchell, fluke or real potential? The Adonai Mitchell stuff is funny because he's always been like a separation, analytics data nerd darling in terms of he's always
the
open.
Analytics darling. Yeah,
he just the ball, when the ball hits his hands, it doesn't go into it. But I believe the only receiver over 100 yards on Sunday. That's something. Ballin'.
I would definitely be just moving him just because I think the reality of him being something meaningful is pretty low.
Jets, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, but I think it's easy to sell him right now of like, oh, like he just needed a good spot. Like there's a bunch of people that, their version of is this player good is just sorting on a spreadsheet who has the most this, and he's going to show up there with like some of the best separation scores. But to me, I'm like, there's probably a million Adonai Mitchell type players, and either you need to use them or you need to get rid of them. It's like Darnell Mooney, where it's like he had his hot streak, and if you had him, that was awesome, and you needed him, or you could have sold him. But like now it's a little bit different. There's going to be players like that all the time. So I don't think he's going to exit the tier of, oh, he had a fun streak for a couple weeks, and become like a staple.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the quickest way I can call this out with players like Adonai Mitchell, which is like tacking on top of what you just said, is there's really a small cluster of players at each position that like really, really matter and like smash for your lineup week in and week out. And it isn't always like super, super consistent like that, but it's a small group. And I think Adonai Mitchell could fall into the group of players that I could see myself starting, like if I need to. But like the ascension above that is like I don't think you're losing out on like a crazy risk reward thing by not moving him for anything that gives you flexibility in terms of, tacking onto him to get a second or, third straight up just off of this 1 week. Especially with like teams that you have a lot of receivers on, it's very diminishing returns in these 12 by 9s when you have 4 receivers you're starting each week and you've got 2 guys you're benching. That's like, dang, these guys would start on other teams in this league. bought Diggs
Yeah.
to fill out one of my flex spots for the playoffs. Somebody give me some copium, please. Well, I bought Tyrone Tracy to fill out my RB2 spot in Alpha Daddy League, so I'm gonna need some copium as well. He's gonna heal through the bye week. It was perfect timing to get a hip injury. I guess on top of this, do you have favorite vet buys, teams you need a receiver? Outside of Devontae
outside of the
Adams,
obvious, like Devontae Adams,
just
like
walking
Devontae
touchdown,
Adams,
walking
Derrick
anytime
Henry.
touchdown.
I think Diggs is probably one of the best reasonable buys right now. Of you don't have to pay an arm and a leg, but you can still get a good deal. I think Pittman is also
How do you
someone
feel
that you
about
could get.
How do you feel about Mike Evans? Potentially practicing this week, and that's more of a price thing than it is a like smash expected production for the rest of the year, like versus Devontae Adams. But I bought Stafford in Alpha Daddy actually as well for 2 seconds, and Mike Evans was part of that trade. So 2 seconds for Stafford and Mike Evans.
Yeah, I think that's a good deal, especially just given the Stafford edition. It's hard because like I don't necessarily want to trade a second for Mike Evans, crowded wide receiver room.
Potentially could be 3 games.
I would do it. Yeah, I would do it with the Stafford plus because I'm like Stafford is certainly worth more than a second,
and it's more of a good tack onto like to me, my best. I am turning a playoff bubble team or I am pushing for the buy trades are when I'm getting 2 or 3 pieces like that on like 12 by 11 leagues where like I could use the starter. Like I have JMO wide receiver 3 in that league, and like Mike Evans is certainly a guy with flex. I mean, that's the league I'm starting or was hoping to start Tyrone Tracy as my RB2. Like those kind of leagues, I could use a guy like Mike Evans to and I have 2 firsts, like it's not just a crappy team I'm trying to push through the playoffs. It's a team I'm trying to use my assets. Oh, I got to interrupt myself. Dynasty Jake, all this Rams talk. We did the Bryce Young Panthers victory lap at the beginning of the stream. Had to.
Yeah, this is going to become a Panthers pod soon.
Yeah, Panthers Daddy.
That doesn't have the same ring. But yeah, I think some of those are good options. I think Wayndell's a decent option because I don't think anyone. It's hard to buy a true contending piece because usually they're all kind of locked up.
Yeah.
Like if you want to make a bigger swing, like maybe the Rico Dowdle information scared people. Maybe you can buy him. He's currently the 4th most traded player. Saquon Barkley, if you want to say, hey, maybe he'll figure it out just for the playoffs. There's probably a buy window there. Travis Kelce is someone as well that if you need a tight end, he is cheap, affordable, and you could just roll him into the wheels fall off.
Right? Like the players like Mike Evans and Travis Kelce that players are like, I mean, this guy might retire. Like if I don't trade him right now, it might be last chance ever.
Yeah, you can get a discount, especially if it's on like a rebuilding team and they're like, well, there's no reason for me to hold Kelce because he's retiring. We don't know that. But, some of those players will retire. The Kamaras, the Kelces, those types of players.
All right, I'm screenshotting David Doobie's alpha trade. I'm not going to click the message, so don't forget, because I'm known to do that. So we'll come back to you, David Doobie, with the Alpha Daddy trade. I got it ready. What's up, everyone? What's up, Rocky Top? My mission to acquire a single running back is still hurting. Bye week locked up though, so that's a plus. Nice, that's huge. Yeah, single RB. Give me a single RB buy. That's not Tyrone Tracy.
I'm curious if this is the live stream ask. I would be a little confused because it is Rocky Top in YouTube, and that's more of like a Tennessee thing, to my knowledge, not a Wisconsin thing. But that's a similar question too.
We'll go lightning mode and hit it soon. How about that?
Okay. We kind of touched. It is. Okay. He said it is. I think
I'm ready. Wait, I got it pulled up.
There's some cheap ones like the Aaron Jones experience. If you want to have a good, 7 points in a quarter and then he goes out with a shoulder injury every week, that's kind of what you're looking for. It's hard because what is out there? I guess is like kind of what we were looking up.
How about this? Got it pulled up. Record timing. I'm on tonight.
Okay, let me
12-1. I'll read through it while you're getting it pulled up. 12-1 team has the bye locked in. It's a Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Jacoby Brissett team locked in there. And I see the RB2, especially with the Dobbins injury, Bijan, and then Tutin, Spears, Vidal, which would have been a nice start last week, but locked in the receiver, Chase, Amonra, Rice, Nico. I mean, you're benching Rome. Rome's probably tough to sell right now, but got Kittle, Kelsey. Let's see which of these teams. Okay, 5-8 team. There's a 5-8 team with James Cook, Breece Hall, Chase Brown.
What I would do is I would buy a DoorDash gift card and I'd send it to Miss Taco and just be like, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving. Also, is Josh Jacobs available? Is Aaron Jones available?
What would you send for Josh Jacobs? Straight up off of this team, you have the buy. And I will say I would not do it if you have another week. Like if this is not your trade deadline. I don't like buying in preparation for future weeks, unless like I'm worried about the trade or something. Like just with the risk of moving off a pick, like a first or something for a guy like Jacobs who's getting 18 touches a game. But what would you send on this team to have a
and his injury?
Yeah, I mean this team.
Would you send a first round pick for Josh Jacobs?
I would on this team. Like there's sometimes where it's like diminishing returns to have like a stacked A team and be sending your own first round pick and be moving off of valuable assets. But like with this kind of team, Josh Allen, Dak, you're starting Bijan, Jacobs, Chase, Amonra, Rice, Nico. You have Rome on the bench, George Kittle, Travis Kelsey. Like I am kind of fine using one of these first round picks to get a guy like Jacobs locked into the lineup to just have a juggernaut team. And like, yeah, it's going to feel bad to not have a first round pick come rookie draft time, but I think the difference between, I only like setting my first one is like massively upgrading a position. So unless you can think of a more creative way, like tearing down off of one of these receivers, or
I mean, would you just send Rome instead? Would you rather keep your 26 first, your late 26, and send Rome?
Yeah, I would
Jacobs?
Like to do that. Would you move off of Goff?
I think that's kind of what I would do.
I mean, you have 4 quarterbacks that are starting right now, and you would be fine with playing.
I just don't think they're going to be interested.
Yeah, that's true. Talk about that a lot.
Like, I think they're going to be like, "Why my team sucks?" Like they're going to want a pick, or they're going to want like a Rome who's young and has some sort of upside in growth potential.
That's tough.
If you're like, "Hey, dude, you want a Jacoby Brissett and a J.K. Dobbins?" It's going to be like, "Come on, man."
There is only
Jared Goff.
The only thing is this Hawk to a team.
Jared Goff is a value
that has Jordan Love. Thank you. That has Jordan Love and JJ McCarthy, and they're 7-6, and they have CMC and Bucky back and Hanson coming back. Like that team might look at themselves and say, like, I'm hitting my stride. I snuck into the playoffs. Like Hampton's coming back. I just need a quarter QB2 to play instead of JJ. Like you might be able to finagle a trade where you're getting one of these running backs in a deal where you're dealing them a quarterback on top of giving them something else.
But that's hard.
It's hard.
Like you're gonna have to do
it's worth the call. It's worth
Dak
the call.
plus for Bucky.
And I do it.
For
man.
Marion Hampton.
To go from wait, what? Dak plus what? I would
I feel like you have to add like a second at least.
Late 26 over late 26 first over Rome. Really feel like he's on a good pace for a third year wide receiver breakout. Yeah, I think he's worth that. I don't think it's necessarily like I would be moving off of Rome on all my leagues for firsts, but in terms of like the context of this team, more so. So I'd be fine moving off the first straight up on that kind of team where it's a late first, 100%, and kind of holding Rome as it's like Rome is your 107 pick this year.
Yeah, that's your lottery pick.
So yeah, no, I don't think it's necessarily ahead of. It's just I more so think those kind of trades, it's whatever they're willing to take, whatever they'd rather have. And some people, they prefer the dynasty wide receiver value, and some people prefer the first round pick. It's just tough when it's like they know it's a late first. and you don't know how they value Rome.
Yeah,
Is
you're not
another
going to
part
get
of
a
it.
huge premium.
But this team's sick, man. Do not be scared about making the move. And also like this kind of team, sometimes you can, like, I get kind of sucking yourself off of moving your first round pick, especially on a team that feels like a juggernaut, where it's like, do I really need to move off my first? But like for a player like Jacobs or in that range where it's not only a smash for the rest of this year, but Jacobs isn't going to fall off the map next year. Like you're going to want a guy like Jacobs on this kind of team, like pushing again next year with all these receivers that are in the same situations but another year older. So make the move, man. We have
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a team where you do want to move your first, because too the drop off to your RB2 is so big,
yeah,
right?
it's the
Like
big
it's not like,
upgrade.
oh, I'm rolling out Warren or something. It's like, no, like the upgrade of that first round pick would be 15 points a week or something. And that's going to be huge when it matters. And you also are going to have a buy. So it's guaranteed at best to be like the 108.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it works. Nope, the 109. So it's like, yeah, it's like you're giving up such a late pick locked in. So but I think too, they're going to be sitting here and be like, what's the Josh Jacobs riding on my roster with a 4-point Lamar Jackson, an injured Garrett Wilson, and Geno Smith going to do?
Mm.
Like they're probably going to welcome that type of trade, and there might be oh, I want a fourth, or give me the whatever. But I think that's the strongest move you probably could get done.
Yeah. Do we have news on Hampton this week? My guess would be that he plays. Like started practicing last week. I don't know if I remember seeing like a definitive, confident report.
Thought I saw he will play. He said
But
it says likely to return against the Eagles.
yeah, but this is a good call out to Condranos. I do think that it'll be interesting to see what the split looks like, especially the first game back. Like we saw it with Bucky too, who had a great game. Like White and Tucker were involved for sure, but he ended up being that hot hand like he is because he's a stud. But very nervous about a Vidal Hampton committee, even when he does come back. From Jacob Gibbs, shout out Jacob Gibbs, had the second best RB performance of the year behind Bijan according to the metrics. Yeah, I mean Vidal's played well, and I mean we saw the split at the beginning of the year with Najee. Like I don't think he's going to necessarily come back and get those Najee list games, the first couple games where he was just workhorse. I don't think it's necessarily going to be the back, but I think it's going to be similar to Bucky where he's going to get his chance to show that he needs to be the touch leader by a significant margin. And I think he's more likely to do that than Kamani, even though he's had some good weeks.
Now the talent disparity is very different than Chuba and Waddle, but it could also be a situation of he's injured. We don't want to overwork him, especially since the Chargers have bigger aspirations of not just beating the Eagles, but being a playoff team and having them down the stretch. So, yeah, I mean, I think this week is a hard week to feel confident about the Hampton start. Once we see what next week looks like, then we'll kind of know more of what to expect in terms of what his usage with Vidal will be. And I think eventually Vidal will kind of get phased out. You'll probably see that just because the commitment and the skill level of Hampton when he is at 100%. But it might be a little bit until we get that.
Yeah. Would you start Hampton this first week over someone like Debo, Keenan, or Ertz? I think I would if there were no reports that were like snap count stuff. Like I sometimes get a little spooked by those, man. But I mean we saw it with Bucky.
Ertz turned back the clock. You're like 140 yards or something.
Dude, Terry was balling too. Shout out Terry, got me the win.
That was a great game.
I'm 1 win away from the bye in one of my home leagues. It's gonna be a big week for the Fenton for alligators. All right. In week 10, I was able to trade Garrett Wilson and Rodney Gadsden and a second rounder for JSN in a 10-team Dynasty league. Save my championship run this year. I'm currently 12-1. Let's go. That's one of those trades that, like, at one point in time would probably look terrible. Or not terrible, but you would kind of be like, squint your eyes and not trust the JSN production. But I like it, especially for this year. 12-1, get the bye.
In week 10, right?
Yeah. He's injured.
Yeah.
I
think that's
week,
that's a
week
deal.
1 of fire.
When you,
week 2.
But like we still knew JSN was like ascending. It
Yeah,
was
it was
like
smashing.
okay, like and then you got the elite value cash out on Gadsden, who's obviously not always going to have 10 targets a game. And yeah, I mean, I think that's especially in a 10 team, like the JSN players are going to be way more impactful, most
Right.
likely, than the Gadstons, than the Garrett Wilson type players. JSN is certainly a top 5, top 10 player in that format.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're past the trade deadline, so I can't make any moves. I have 3 first in that league, 2 as a rebuild, Kraft and Hunter on my IR. Yeah, I got to. I have to make a move in Charlie Daddy. Sorry, guys. Every time I see players that line up with my own teams, especially in the Dynasty Daddy leagues, I got to call it out. Got Hunter, Kraft. Seeing that IR symbol does not feel good in best ball. I have learned that the hard way. But hit me up.
Yeah.
10 PPR, 10 team PPR, bonus for 100-yard rushing receiving, only 4 make the playoffs. Dang. I guess 10 team makes sense. I need the guy ahead of me to lose, and I also need to outscore him by 15. Would you trade away T-Mac and London for Pickens and Bucky?
Mac London for
It's
Pickens
interesting.
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like London might be back this week. There was some positive news on that front. Feels, I mean, in a vacuum, in a 10 team league, you get bonuses for 100 yards. I assume that rushing receiving is not tied together. It's individual 100-yard bonuses for each of those.
Yeah.
I'm a Bucky guy,
Yeah, not
so
like total yards.
I'm waiting for you to talk me out of it before I say Pickens Bucky. 4 teams make the playoffs, and you're kind of banking on some. I don't want to say luck here, but we don't even know what the other matchup looks like. Like he has to lose as well. The guy ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're giving up a lot of value in a full PPR league of 2 guys that, I mean, London was wide receiver 8 when he was healthy, and T-Mac looks like he's might be the 101 redraft pick in if we redid the draft. So to me, I'm like, it's hard to give up those guys. I do think Bucky and Pickens certainly look like locks to be productive players for the rest of the year. Bucky a little bit less so. We don't know how that injury will linger, but
Yeah.
Pickens is certainly phenomenal.
If the context of
I
this trade,
have a hard time like. I was just going to say I don't hate the trade as a win now move, but it's hard for me to be like, is this the best use of like both London and T-Mac? Like I'd be like, maybe I just try to move one and split one versus trade away 2 high young, high upside, young value wide receivers.
Yeah. If the context of this trade was like, if I win this next week, like I secure the bye if I beat this guy, and I'm pretty like I'm 10 point favorite, and I kind of want to get that additional nod just because of like the expected value gain of getting the bye in a playoff format for fantasy football. Would you lean that way at all? Or are you still kind of holding true to finding a different kind of move?
I would be more inclined if it was like I control my destiny. If I was
Yeah,
like, oh, I
versus
need
needing
this
2
person to
things.
lose and to outscore by 15. Like, there's so many weird variables where I'm like, I don't necessarily want to make a massive win now move and regret it. Now, if it's something where you're like, hey, I'd actually feel fine going next year with Bucky and Pickens, which those aren't the worst players to have, certainly, then
Bucky's
sure,
awesome.
like I go for it. But I don't want to make a super aggressive win now move when the win now is literally I have to make it in, otherwise I'm gonna regret it.
Yeah. Tristan has the ointment you left at his place. He's gonna send to you in the mail. Just wanted to let you know.
Oh, thank you.
Want to make sure I didn't miss that.
Don't know what that is.
All right, Spock here. Rebuilding. Would you trade? Whoa. AJ Brown and Chase Brown for Justin Jefferson. 12 team, 12 by 10. 2-point PPR for tight ends. rebuilding. Doesn't really have any running backs. 326 first.
I would definitely do this as a rebuild.
Yeah, I would too.
Like, to me, I'm like, I don't need the production of Jefferson. AJ Brown has had a few all right weeks. Now people are like, wait a minute, I'm okay living with him putting up a bunch of stinkers and then having one breakout game. And then Chase Brown is Chase Brown. To me, this is definitely let me get Jefferson, load up for the future. I have all these first round picks. I have Jefferson that I can wait on.
Do you like it on the contender side from the perspective of, this is, what if we get this from AJ Brown for the rest of the season and you get the Chase Brown in 12 by 10?
To me, I would, if I'm moving Jefferson, I'm starting at the top and I'm just going down because I don't think there's more of a blue chip player outside of maybe Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jamar Chase, right? Like Justin Jefferson's been in that tier zone where it's, oh, let's do our top 5 dynasty assets. And you always pencil in Justin Jefferson. No thought. Everyone did that. And so you could just go down the list. And I know eventually you hit, the Rashee Rice, you hit even like the Amon-Ra, like people, they're going to be like, do I do something? Like eventually you're going to find somebody. I feel like you'll probably find someone that gives you a wide receiver you feel a little bit better about, and that has more dynasty value insulation than AJ Brown, that would accept some sort of wide receiver plus for this, for Justin Jefferson. That being said, I think from a contender side, I would just say, like, I don't want to move Justin Jefferson and get AJ Brown and have him put up 3 points and get like 2 targets.
I'm with it. Coop Cooper here. Missed out on the FFPC Big Gorilla Championship because they forgot to take Emmanuel Wilson out of the lineup. Lost by 5 points. Please talk me off a ledge. Hey, you know what is very easy to fix is the little mistakes like that in setting lineups. You got there. Your drafting, your team roster construction got you to the championship, and you'll do it again because we're going to fix those mistakes. Right, Jeremy, is that good enough? You got anything to add?
That was beautiful. It's it's up there with the call 1-800-GAMBLER or whatever if you need help. Or you can call Will. I can give you Will's number and he will hype you up for next year.
YouTube some royalty free.
Emmanuel Wilson didn't look terrible.
Music. Yeah, that was tough. Honestly, I thought we were going to see more Emmanuel Wilson based off of what he did in the last week, but that was probably the same kind of give this guy 30 carries so that Josh Jacobs can take the load and beat Will's Lions. Let's move on. 12 by 10. Should I trade BTJ for Adams in an early second? Leaning no, but I am contending. Wow. This is
okay.
Is the
where's
trade.
your head at with BTJ? Where's your head at with BTJ? Because I don't think there's a bigger disaster case.
Jacoby wide receiver 1. Well, Travis Hunter wide receiver 1 when he's healthy, but Jacoby wide receiver 1 interim. Jacoby, I assume gets re-signed, especially with how he's producing for them.
For him.
Yeah, if they trade for them, I think those like wide receiver in-season trades, like same with Shaheed, I'm expecting those teams to re-sign those players. Like it's kind of weird to do that without that expectation, like unless there's bad contract negotiations. But I think Jacoby's just happy to be on I'm gonna say okay
contender by the way.
W
might be a little too late, but
yeah, after this last game, but man, 12 by 10. I don't know if I can do it, man. Like think about all that can happen for BTJ's value to be redeemed.
He's currently wide receiver 17 on Dynasty Daddy. Fair. Wide receiver 18 on KeepTradeCut. He's below Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I mean the nightmare scenario is Hunter's back next year, re-sign Jacoby. Weird reports in the preseason, and it's just 3 for 40 blocking highlight BTJ on the Jags Twitter.
Dream scenario: Mac Jones comes back to the Jags.
T-Love.
Um,
The dream scenario starts with T-Love getting benched.
I think BTJ is probably the hardest player to feel good about, I guess. Like out of all players in the league, like I feel like I have like an understanding of like, oh, I would take this for this player. BTJ, I'm like, there's a reality where we just got too high on the supply. Like it's like Jerry Jeudy last year with Jameis Winston, and it was like, well, they just keep airing it out. He makes all these big plays, and his fantasy numbers look great. But we've seen Jerry Jeudy enough to know what he is. Is this like the offense was just kind of like broken, and they just were like, screw it, BTJ's down there somewhere, and he just kept making plays? But we're not going to see that again. And this is more of the reality because like they did go out and get Jacoby Myers, and Jacoby Myers is looked pretty good. Or is it just BTJ's injured? We're going to see him, kind of up his usage and his numbers. Like I can just talk myself into it both ways, and that's kind of the hard part.
Used to be year 3 breakout, man.
And
I say it all the time. Used to be year 3 wide receiver breakouts. We've got game 3 wide receiver breakouts.
I love a good year 2 wide receiver meltdown. That's fun.
Yeah, there's been weird. It's like so hard in these kind of like player choice takes, but I mean, if you turn it into BTJ's like a first, like 1.5 first, it would probably cost to get BTJ off of someone's roster. Like I don't think most BTJ managers are willing to move him like straight up for just a random first. I think there's still that kind of hopium in the bounce back. This is first week off the injury too.
Yeah.
So if it was like 1.5 first for Devontae in a second, I kind of get it. I don't think I could do
His
it.
season's just been so bad though.
I have nothing.
He's had
I'm speechless. It's been a net negative. I think you've gained less.
He's had more than 12 points. He's had more than 12 points once this year.
It is purely.
I honestly, if you are a contender and you're sitting there and being like, I have to deal with the BTJ experience in the playoffs, or I can just do Devontae Adams plus a second or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe I can toss in like a random running back body. I don't think that's a bad value. Like I'm trying to win, and BTJ has this mystical dynasty value, but if he's scoring literally 8 points a week, but worth a first plus, like get him off my roster. I'm trying to win.
Yeah. I don't know how much it would matter in a 12x10, but if you could turn that early second, like if it's the next part of this trade is you turn that early second into, some sort of contending running back, you tack it on to, get Jacobs or whatever. I mean, that trade looks a lot better for what you're doing for your team for the next 2 to 3 years. And man, the Devontae stuff, like, I mean, when is it going to stop? He is literally just like, anytime touchdown odds for like gold line, 100% red zone carry running backs, that is literally just Devontae Adams. It's first and goal. let's whip out the 2 end zone fades. That didn't work. All right, we'll do a little goofy slant. Nice. Who else you looking at in a similar trade if you already have BTJ and Adams? Adams is probably the toughest because I think you feel a lot more confident in the weekly production for like someone of that age versus the other receivers that are similar, like the Evans and Diggs that we talked about. Juwan Jennings, I don't really want to bank on. Because like a lot of the dynasty,
you see the Juwan Jennings, the guy.
I see why you got punched.
That was funny. Yeah.
What is he saying, man? Like these guys have heard this their whole lives. All this stuff. He must be saying some absolute brutal.
I know he's got to be something. It's but yeah. So other BTJ tear downs.
I mean, would you go like
to me? It wouldn't be a tear down. I'd be trying to like go like AJ Brown.
Yeah, I mean, would you hit up like the AJ Brown, Waddle, T Higgins? I mean, T Higgins is probably an interesting tear down from BTJ with Burrow for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. Devonta Smith, Zay Flowers. I'd probably look at all those types, those guys. I'd also look to see like, can I go up a little bit? Can I go up and get into the conversation with a different type of player?
Yeah,
I feel like George Pickens is still undervalued. People are going to be like, oh, the franchise tag. I don't know. If I'm trying to win, like BTJ, George Pickens, reality though is like how many George Pickens are on bad teams. Like that's
Yeah.
the tough part.
And the reality too is who's trying to who is at this point in the season and is just ripped and ready to buy low on that Brian Thomas Jr. for their like similar dynasty valued receiver. It's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough, man. But I think if you're not losing too much in terms of like where he's valued at currently with these like Devontae Adams in a second, or other contending piece running backs that are more than just 1 year rentals, I think it's totally fine in the context of using a questionable asset and turning it into something that's helping you for the next couple seasons. Dynasty Jake here, back to the Dynasty streets. Non-playoff team, and I have Chan. This is literally the description of everyone I am hitting up in the DMs in all my sleeper leagues right now. Non-playoff team that has Chan. The current best offer is Travion Henderson and a projected 106 in 2026. No trade deadline. Should I wait and see or take the package? I mean, 100% Chan is in that tier of players where the trade block is not an annoying thing. It is like a beautiful call, a Batman signal in the sky for people to send you offers for an awesome dynasty running back. So I definitely would do that before like further pursuing Henderson in the 106. He was good this last week, but it was back to the Ramondre split.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's hard to move off Chain. I think it really comes down to the amount of assets on your team. Like, when you say non-playoff team, are you like kind of in the mix? Or are you like it's Chain and Chain's the Ferrari in the trailer park? So if you're asset poor, I think this is honestly a really good value, all things considered, because it's like 2.5 first essentially.
Yeah,
which I don't know if you're going to be getting that elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I mean, all the HN, like, and it's a little bit more on teams, I think, where I can kind of see the vision of them thinking they need to tier off HN enough. Like, it isn't just like, oh, they had a bad year, got, hurt with injuries. It's literally like, oh, they are, 3-4 starters away from being a contending team. I'll send 2 firsts and an interesting young player for HN. So I think this is more than around that value. Inbox offer here. Give Woody Marks and get Jawan Jennings. I'm concerned Amon-Ra's health for the playoffs, and Jennings has a nice fantasy schedule. Team below. It's 12 by 10. PPR 0.75 in premium. Lamar, Brissett, Daniel Jones, Kyler, Shuck. Got Bijan, CMC, Hampton, Chase Brown. Okay, I wasn't a fan of the trade, but I mean, this is the kind of team you want to move off of Woody for wide receiver help if you need it. With a Bijan, CMC, Hampton, Chase Brown team. You have Puka, Amon-Ra, Rice, Hunter, DJ Moore, Gadsden, Fannin, Andrews, Ingram. Number 1 seed, most points for. Trade deadline is week 14. I want to say Jennings is not the receiver I would target. Yeah, Puka, Amon-Ra, Rice. But because I feel like
14 points, 17 points, 9 points, 15 points, 13 points.
Yeah, it's probably what, like three of those were touchdown games. We're probably not getting Ayuk back this season.
Yeah, it sounds like that was problematic. Actually, 4 of those were touchdown games, by the way.
Yeah.
5 targets, 9 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets.
And it's a 3 wide receiver. Like, I get you don't. My thing is, you don't have to. Like, you're probably missing Amon-Ra this week with the Thursday night game for the Lions, but you have the bye. It's like the perfect week for you to not have Amon-Ra. DJ Moore. Like, if I had any reasonable other receiver, I probably would not make this kind of move with a player like Woody Marks, who has like a really good role, even though it's not really impacting my team that much. Because even though I like doing that kind of move on these kind of teams, I don't think you need to do that with how this team is built right now. Would you do it, Jeremy, for Jennings or a different receiver?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I need him, I might try to say maybe I move like a Hunter or something for a player that's playing.
Yeah.
And also get off what's his snapshot going to be situation. Like, what's the value of Hunter? Can it get me someone that I feel a little bit better about? long term, and also maybe get you someone that has a little bit more kind of fantasy playoff upside. I don't hate the Jennings move, but it's also like it's not like you're starving for wide receiver production that's going to be decent. You have DJ Moore, you know, Amon-Ra should be back. You know, so it's not like I feel like I have to make this move.
Yep. All right, Dabadoobie, I'm ready. Curious on your guys' thoughts on my trade in the Alpha Daddy League. Dabadoobie sends away Malik Neighbors, Tyler Algier, 2026 first, a third, and a fourth to get Marvin Harrison Jr., Quinshon Judkins, and Josh Jacobs. I like this. I think this is a good kind of cash out on the Neighbors IR stint. He's locked into the playoffs. I don't believe is able to push for a bye, if I remember correctly, the Alpha Daddy standings. No, he's got a chance. It's one team needs to lose this next week. Oh, and he's playing them. That's a double.
Interesting.
But also needs to have me lose as well, or he needs to beat me by 50 points, and my team is sick, so GG. But I am playing the number one team. I'm playing Addy Hutz, who's 10-3, has a pretty good team. But I like this trade. You like this trade? This is a good Neighbors price. You do have to add the first, but you are a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. It is a big package, but you're also getting a lot of solid value back, and then you're also loading up for the playoffs. And you're a team that does have a chance for a bye, which is a more impactful move to make, in my opinion, than saying let me try to sneak into the playoffs. Like saying let me try to secure a bye. That it definitely is worth much more of a swing like that. And it makes sense too from C Mill, because I know he pushed in and then things went awry. So to him, locking up Neighbors, a first round pick, I mean these are the types of deals you're trying to find, is deals that make sense for both sides.
Yeah. I like it. All right. Are you buying Saquon for a playoff first in a 14x9? Can you give me any kind of point per carry? Can I get any kind of point per carry to lock in a slightly better floor for Saquon? I don't think Saquon's looked bad, man. It's just it's this slightly worse offensive line.
Offense is weird, man.
And the offense. Yeah. Can I hit up
Saquon
other running backs?
Outscored his projections 2 times all year.
Like
week 5 and week 8.
Like I think, and I mean Saquon's valued higher than like Jacobs types, and I know Jacobs has the injury as well. But man, wouldn't you just rather?
Think that's the issue.
Gonna bounce back.
But it's also like very dependent on the league market, right?
Yeah.
Like the reality is that Saquon is probably on a bad team, because that person was relying on Saquon, and Saquon has been kind of mid. That being said, 14-team league, like that pick's gonna be pretty late. I don't feel as bad saying, let me just send it for Saquon Barkley. It's not like Saquon Barkley is going to be a backup running back next year. He's going to be slotted into the exact same role he has. I mean, to me, this is a move you make, especially in a 14-team league where that pick is basically going to be an early second-round pick.
Yeah.
And it's worth the swing.
And it's a start 9 too. Like I talk about this, like I am a lot more inclined on my like shallower 12x9s or a 14x9 like this to move off of the playoff first, where it's like, man, I need how much needs to go right for my late first to matter and be one of my 9 starting players. And like if I can get 2 to 3 years of somebody I'm locking into that spot, I'm fine doing it. Ooh, trade offer. Jeremy gets his company to buy group tickets from me for 2 pregame field passes for him and Will. Wow. Dang, I haven't even been to a Lions game this year. Lions Panthers. NFC Championship game. Let's go.
That would be that might have to be a emergency live stream.
That would be nuts. I'd be willing to. I can't imagine losing to Bryce Young in the playoffs. Sorry, I'm gonna move on from that. That felt kind of disrespectful.
Okay, clip it, Jake, clip it.
No, it's fine. It's fine to clip it because I don't know, guys.
The four seed Panthers against the 7 seed. Or I guess it would be the 5th seed.
Are the Lions even gonna make the playoffs? Yes. All right. Don't worry, guys. Every game's a playoff game.
You got to get through the juggernaut that is the Bears.
Dude, having to play the Cowboys, man, the Thursday night Cowboys game. This is literally like a playoff game for both these teams, just because we're both approaching mid, record wise. Okay. Before our trade deadline, I traded Olave for Jaden Higgins, the 109, and a 4th. These are all 26 picks. Thoughts? I feel like I would want to know the format. But are you just cashing out on Olave for this price? I'm kind of an Olave guy, so I kind of want to hear your
I think I'd just cash out on. If I get the first plus for Olave, to me that's probably worth it.
It's a good process. It would just be in like a super shallow league. I'd probably be less inclined to be confident that Jaden Higgins would matter is for sure going to matter.
Like, what's the difference between Olave and like Juwan Jennings or Jacoby Myers?
Yeah, but can I invoke any advanced statistics or target share numbers, or does it have to be fantasy production?
Yeah, hang the banner, hang the banner, because
bro, in my target share leagues, bro, in my target share leagues, he's smashing
point per target share.
He's been decent though. I love it. Olave's been a totally fine.
14 points, 8.7, 21.
There we go.
16 and 14.
There we go. Heard a couple double digits there, Dan. Let's go. Oof. How are we feeling on Keon Coleman moving forward? Hold and hope to, or try to sell off? I think the more realistic conversation is like, what could you even get for Keon Coleman off of healthy and active, disciplinary reason, 2 weeks, random touchdown game? Like, can you even... do you want to sell your Keons for thirds off of this last week?
I probably would. I don't think anyone on the Bills is worth more than a third, probably at the wide receiver position, to be honest.
I'm
no
so
one
stunned.
I feel good about.
I'm just so stunned that like Shakir is just not manufactured 4 receptions as a floor every game on this team. But
I am too. That's like his role.
He's like a great yak guy, and especially with the rest of the rooms. Got to get those Cooks targets. Got to get those Tyrell Shavers targets.
I will say earlier you mentioned a potential Jefferson to the Bills trade. I do think it would be funny if Jefferson did get traded to the Bills, like Stephon Diggs, and then the Vikings take a wide receiver, and it just become the next Justin Jefferson. It's
their
just
first pick.
Times the circle.
BTJ to the Bills. Can he handle the cold? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not one of those guys. All right.
Well, we got to know what he can handle.
That's true. Game over. I can't believe I clicked that Bears. Should I be looking to move off of Jalen Hurts in the immediate future? Yeah, it's the cycle where
this is the
Jalen
buy
Hurts
window.
is not an NFL quarterback cycle, like purely contract reasons. And I mean, how many of these Eagles losses are like fully Jalen Hurts is not a legitimate NFL quarterback losses for a team that's probably going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles are just like the dynasty community ramped up by 10, where it's like, oh, AJ Brown, wide receiver 1, he's worth like 3 first-round picks. He had a good game, and then he has one bad game, and everyone's like, oh, the sky's falling. Everyone's washed. Like, fire everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hurts is fine. Like, I think Hurts is probably going to, if he has more of this sentiment for longer, he's going to go back to being a buy. To me, he has such a good fantasy floor. I just
Mahomes
don't care.
Over Hurts would take. Who else?
I mean, Mahomes, Allen, May, JD5 probably.
I mean, Lamar hurts right now.
But like I think outside of like Mahomes, May, Jackson, Allen, maybe Daniels when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, I'm not gonna go down to Joe Burrow or Herbert or Caleb Williams. Like
5-year, $255 million contract in 2023.
one day.
Oh, the PPR Bill. The Bill 119 league. I should have pulled this up quicker when you were talking about the 109.
The Bill Krosky merit.
Shout out to Bill. We'll always have middle of the season Bill. Yo, what's up?
That was a victory lap. That was a good victory lap, and then it was like crash a car on the side of the wall.
Chris Rodriguez. Hurts can still run. True. All right, Bigas. First time in the live, pretty much first. Daddy video, I've consumed it all. Use the site all the time. Great work. Keep it up. This is the time of the night where Will says, I can't accept your thanks for the site because that is 100% Jeremy. But thank you, Jeremy. I'll extend the thanks for the Dynasty Daddy site. I use it for all my leagues as well. That's why I'm here.
Well, I appreciate it. And also, welcome to the YouTube channel, the live streams, and we do sometimes weekly videos.
And
depending on our schedules.
Link in the description to join the Discord if you're not in there already. I don't know if you saw earlier in the stream. If you were here, we were taking a look at one of the rosters on DynastyDaddy.com. And we have a dedicated channel where people will post questions and a link to their leagues on the Dynasty Daddy site. And we pull it up and take a look. Bill still has a chance. True. The jury is not out. You just got to take that job back from Chris Rodriguez.
Does have very stiff competition from a running back they cut and Jeremy McNichols.
Man, is Bill going to be... If Bill is just to remember that guy 8 years from now on a Dynasty Daddy live stream, it'll all have been worth it. Just remember that. Need a full functioning offense? You know what? Kind of true. Because I have said, and I mean, honestly, Chris Rodriguez just kind of took the role. But Bill was kind of playing the, Brian Robinson role on a team that was not able to produce with Brian Robinson. Injury.
The Brian Robinson trade doesn't make sense in hindsight to me. Like I'm like, man, Bill must look really good, and then it's like, oh, like we actually have no idea what we're doing. I do think some of the issues are the offense, the offensive line, the age of the team as a whole, without JD5, all that. But still, it's not good when you're not clearly the best running back, given what his competition is.
Yeah.
It's kind of the Keon Coleman of running backs.
Jeez. Oof. I got to move it after that. All right, Dynasty Jake is dumping all of his Hurts shares. Tush Push is 100% getting banned next year. Yeah, it's I think if they started calling more penalties on like some of the false starts, and I feel like that was a bigger thing a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I think it's just a very difficult call to officiate. And we see some of the weird plays with like forward progress not being stopped and the fumbles. I think like those kind of things that everyone sees takes away from the game. I could see it getting banned, but I am not scared and moving off of all my Hurts for anything. Like I'm fine going in that range, but I do not want to down tier Hurts to like the Herbert Williams tier.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the Tush Push to get banned because the amount of panic sells on Jalen Hurts are going to be crazy, and it's going to be like you don't like. He's still going to get rushing touchdowns. They just aren't going to push him. They're still going to run QB sneaks with a guy that can squat 600 pounds.
Yeah,
like I'm not too concerned that he's going to still be a red zone threat.
And he's a running quarterback too. Ooh, penny up here. Made 2 trades. Need advice, fellas. All right, let's hear it. Yeah, I'm not
leading us on here.
I know. I clicked it quick. I was ready. I saw the fellas, and I feel like it's a call. I was ready.
That's the bat signal.
Join the Discord. LFG. Let's go. Yeah, and
let's go.
Hey, maybe I'll post. I need to be better about talking in the Discord. It's been busy, guys. I'm moving. I don't know if you guys see the massive TV that is just in my background, laying on top of a sofa, but that's a sign. I'm moving. But more importantly, Fenny Whopper has one of the trades traded JJ and a 26 third for London and a 26 first, projects late. To be fair, I'm not contending this year. Interesting. I like it. London, and
I think this is a good deal in general. Like
I think for all
I've been
teams.
trying to do yeah, I mean, I've been trying to do deals of like Lamb for London in a first, and I can't get those types of deals done. And I feel like people would value Lamb or those players higher um, right now. And the fact that you're able to get a guy that could be, I mean, London was like wide receiver 8 or something in the season, I think currently, even though missing a bunch of games, and you get a first round pick. It's hard to say that's bad, even if it's a late pick. That's something that you want as a team that's not contending.
Yeah. And man, like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of down. A lot of people are down on the 2026 class in terms of what late first are going to look like. So I feel like the meta, the feeling is that, playoff teams should all be moving off of the 26 first for, any deal to help contend. But first carry weight, first carry value, rookie draft times. Think about what you're able to move your, people that wanted to take shots on RJ Harvey and Caleb Johnson and, Quinshawn and Drake May at the end of drafts. They'll be players. I like it. All right, second trade. Traded JSN for CD, 2 seconds and a first. That is nuts. And I like JSN. I'm willing to move off of I'm willing to add on to JJ for JSN, but that's nuts. CD, 2 seconds and a first. Would you do it for CD in 2 seconds? Would you do it for CD in a second?
At 2 seconds, I would certainly do it.
Yeah.
At first, I would do it. I probably just hold JSN for 1 second. I feel like that's not enough to make me super excited, unless if this is a team that you're not contending on, then sure. Because next year CD Lamb might be the JSN.
Yeah.
And just
or
be
14 by
outpacing
11,
everyone.
super deep. You can move that second for a player
Yeah.
that's really going to matter for you.
No, I mean, this deal is an incredible value. All I got to say to you, Finney, is if your league has a opening ever, just let us know. I want to be in a league like that where I can move down 2 tiers and pick up like an entire draft class.
He's 23, true. But that 2028 first is what? 18 right now? 19? 2028? If and I want to get a 2028 first for a team that is doing an up tier from CD to JSN and adding on 2 firsts of flexibility and a first in 2028. That's the team I want to take on their 2028 first.
Yeah, and two, I think that the big thing too is like if you don't need the production this year, the distance between JSN and CD Lamb as dynasty assets isn't huge. Like it's honestly the same. And like you said, a perfect example is like Jonathan Taylor. Like any player that can be a top 3 at their position should honestly be valued pretty similarly. And if you aren't competing this year, then next year CD Lamb and JSN have basically the same chance of being a wide receiver, like the wide receiver 1 overall. It comes down to injuries and variance and offensive scheme, and there's so many different things. Like Seattle's offensive coordinator could totally get poached with how well he's been doing. There's a lot of things that could change. That CD Lamb and I get 2 seconds in the first. I mean I now have basically a whole extra draft class to play with. And I also have still an elite young wide receiver that can totally be the wide receiver 1 in the league.
Yeah. And I think like we talk about, we were talking about being willing to do it for the 2 seconds. Like think about what 2 seconds means for your team. Like I'm sure everyone's experienced what it felt like on the teams where you were able to use 2 seconds to fill in cracks and, get your Jalen Warrens, 2 seconds in a player for Josh Jacobs. Like you're able to fill in the holes of a contending roster, and it's moving JSN to CD. Come on. Funny enough, if he had 2 firsts, he would have done it with CD. CD in 2 firsts for JSN. And I love JSN, man. That's like
Dude, that's like
the week to week
that's
projection.
ridiculous.
I mean,
You're paying two first for like an extra 2 points a game.
This is obviously like a absolute fleece overreaction type of move, but these are the kind of people that like can really dry their dynasty rosters, and they have this really good team. They built up this war chest of assets, and then they turn all their picks into the best fantasy pros weekly projection team that you could put together. And then next year, one of their wide receivers gets hurt, and they have no picks to fill in the cracks because they moved it all to make themselves feel better about their lineup. I speak from experience, guys.
Yeah, I was like that seemed very personal there. Yeah, this is definitely, to me, I don't see him in the chat, but this reminds me of the Christopher team where he has no picks till like 2029. Like that, some people are willing to wheel and deal like that, and I'm not against making a big swing for JSN, but you got to. I mean, for what I'm giving up there, it's got to be much lower of a player. I mean, it's got to be like an AJ Brown tier player plus a first and 2 seconds to really be near that conversation. Not someone that could, is within the top 5. Like I'll live or die by CD Lamb versus giving up all future flexibility I have for the next probably 2 years.
Yeah. And especially like the age thing too. I think when we're not talking about players that are in that like age concern range of like pushing the 29, 30 stuff, like players like CD Lamb that are kind of in that like, 20, 24 to 27 age range. Like they're going to carry that same kind of dynasty value for the next couple seasons, especially when they're going to be on big contracts and good situations. So like it's not necessarily a JSN for CD for the rest of their careers, but it's the projection for the next 2 seasons and your ability to use them as dynasty value trade chips as well. We have a B.
Yeah, and you also got to think with like the JSN is not Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson yet. As in, we as a community are used to the wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 being locked in as the wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 for like 4 or 5 years. Like no one can debate with that type of player. I mean, we don't know how it's going to shake out, but there's no guarantee that JSN has the same long-term dynasty insulation that like a Jamar Chase has had or a Justin Jefferson has had. Especially when you add in, other players that are going to get a lot of hype.
Mark my word with the Bill 109.
I'm excited for the Bill 109. It's going to come around.
I really wanted to keep JSN, but it felt too good to pass up. Yeah, that
was a good deal.
That's just too good of a deal. Like, I think it would get spooky if we're talking about like Justin Jefferson, and it's like Justin Jefferson and a second, and it's like, are you a contending team? I don't know how great I'd feel about moving down there for the rest of the season, but yeah, CD is like, come on. All right, we do have a Bigus Deakus trade calc league simulator portion question. If I do obviously lopsided trades, like sending a 26 late first and getting CD with Daddy Market and Contender on, then scroll to League Simulator, it shows my record gets worse and the win finals percentage decreasing. Why?
Yeah, so I can kind of let a little peek under the hood. So the trade calculators simulator does 1,000 simulators or simulations versus 10,000 that the playoff calculator page does. And one part of that is sometimes there will be just little variance between certain things. And you might be saying, okay, but still, I added CD Lamb to my team. The values that are used are starter rank and starter values, right? So like your starter value might not improve a ton if if it's saying, well, the upgrade from CD Lamb is, you're upgrading. Let me think of a random player. I am blanking on a decent wide receiver. I mean, if you're upgrading from like a Lad McConkey to a CD Lamb in projections, that's not going to be a huge difference in terms of the simulator. And then you just have the random variance of, oh well, these simulations you might gain an extra game or losing extra game just based on these simulations being different from prior. It's kind of hard to make it perfect unless if you run a massive amount of simulations to kind of stamp out the noise. But then that also means that your browser has to do a lot more work, and I don't want to have your browser taking up like a gigabyte of memory.
Makes sense, and is what I figured. Also, didn't realize the league sim was 1,000 versus playoff calcs 10,000.
Yeah, the playoff calculator. You go to that page, and it definitely has a more consistent flow to it of what you can expect.
I've been fighting with that playoff calculator, specifically in my co-managed leagues, trying to convince my co-manager that it doesn't know. It doesn't know about our team. It doesn't know what we've assembled.
I will say, I made an update last week. I don't think I told anyone, but people probably have noticed the numbers now count up when you like they used to bounce in, but now they count up, and I like it. It looks clean.
And I do like I'm a big playoff scenario guy. So come week 13, week 14, I'm definitely hitting the expectations of what's going to happen, what needs to happen for me to hit my bye weeks, and it's a beautiful starting point.
Oh, I love the I mean the whole reason is the site doesn't really have it anymore, but 538 had the NFL playoff calculator, and they had an option where you could go in and just literally click if this team beats this team, if this team beats this team, has that impact all the odds? And I was like, I just want that for fantasy football. So, especially when you're like, okay, I'm like, what has to happen for me to sneak into a buy or something like that? It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, right here I was. This is the Alpha Daddy League. How about 24% to win the finals for Will's team? You're in this league, aren't you? All right, never mind. No, it's all good.
We don't.
I click up.
No, actually, let's pull up Charlie Daddy while we're at it.
You make a click over to Charlie Daddy. Dude, I'm on the edge.
You can scroll down real quick. You can scroll down. I have my first round pick. Duh. And I also have C Mill. Shout out C Mill. 2 top 3 picks.
Dang. Oh, I was gonna go over to Bravo and start bragging. I've got two first round picks. Granted, it's my own and the team that has a first round bye, but a first round pick is a first round pick. Oh, 77%. Let's go. I didn't think it would be this high because I'm fighting with Coach F here in a median league.
Dang.
And I need a quarterback. Please answer my trade offer for Jacoby Brissett. Please, I need him. It's important to me.
Who am I playing next week? I'm just projected to get absolutely washed.
Yeah, your team's overrated. But enough about our league.
Dang. Yeah, you're here to hear us talk about our fantasy leagues.
We'll do that'll be its own stream. That'll be like a Wednesday morning stream. Made a trade I regretted. I traded away
prime time Wednesday morning.
T-Mac and May for Burrow and Chase, plus additional players on both sides. Now he wants them back. Oh. Plus he wants Judkins for Travion Henderson. I am cooked. He is contending. Traded away Tenton May for Burrow and Chase. Wait, what's wrong?
We're trading away.
I mean, love Drake May, but I saw a message here that he wants them back because Burrow is healthy. I know we got some Chase and Burrow might be donezo. I'm a big, like, unless there's contract stuff that's weird, and I understand the injury fear stuff with Burrow, but like for him to come back this early for a team that is like 10% chance to make the playoffs, I don't necessarily think that when they're mathematically eliminated, he's done. Now, if there's some sort of injury thing, that's like outside of the conversation, but I am not okay, this team's out of the playoffs, they're going to bench their star players.
Well, number one, you also have a Burrow Chase stack, which is nice. Number two, I don't think a Judkins for Henderson to me is just like, like trading a quarter for a quarter. Like if you really want Judkins, like give me a plus here. because to me, like, why would I trade a player for something that's equal? But I think the ultimate thing is you said I am cooked, right? Your team probably is out of it, you know? He's the one that's contending. He wants his pieces.
Yeah.
So like come and give me a deal I can't,
He's coming to
like
get Chase,
I'm
man.
not
Like,
motivated to sell.
yeah, like I get he
I'm
has
not
May.
motivated to sell.
That's probably his big bargaining chip is it's like Burrow to May and the age, and you don't really care about the production this year for T-Mac, but it's like, dude, you're coming to get Chase. Like, this is,
Yeah.
you're taking the bagel stack. Last place, how much do I ask for on top? I mean, here's the thing, like, I know like the trade might make more sense for your team, but I think you 100% deserve something on top to be bailing this guy out of. Well, I guess not. It's not necessarily a bailout, but the T-Mac to Chase upgrade, um, pretty big.
Yeah,
So,
T-Mac to Chase is a huge upgrade. It's much bigger than Burrow to May.
I mean, I would be trying to, if can you throw in another contending piece and you get a first on top?
Yeah, I'd be aiming for a first. If there's any injured player, like he's got like a, like a Scattaboo or a Neighbors or something. Like, is there some injured piece that doesn't really Tucker Craft something? Um, you know, but he has to be the one to give you a good deal. Like, I'm not going to be sitting here being like, yeah, I'll do a 3-for-3 swap and you get Judkins, Burrow, and Chase, and I get a bunch of kind of speculative dynasty value players. He needs to give me a little bit of extra value there.
I want to hear your take on this one first. I'm curious if my strategy seems viable. I'm not a big fan of draft picks because there's no guarantee you'll hit. So I want to just trade down from all my first for future firsts or players that are good. So kind of like I assume the first for future first is a little bit of the flexibility. Like, can I keep pushing these to the future to not have to make the draft picks so that I can be cashing out for players that are actually helping me win? I do think it's a little format dependent. I'll let you take the reins, but obviously I think that strategy changes a little bit based off of how many starters, how easy it is to consolidate.
Yeah, in a vacuum, I kind of agree with this logic of like the future first is kind of always worth more than the current first of just I have the flexibility that everyone will always want. But I do think there's very few places where you're going to get a win in value. And it's either through fleecing people in a trade or it's hitting on a draft pick. Right? Like if you hit on a first, a second, a third, people that were drafting Harold Fannin in the third round or Woody Marks, they turned to pick that what could they have gotten if they traded it? Like nothing into a piece that is a flexible option, someone that they feel better about long term. And obviously there's the crazy cases of like Puka. And then there's also the cases of I drafted, random guy that we don't even remember anymore. Javon Baker. Yeah, players like that. That's kind of the hard part is you're going to hit and miss. But I do think you need to put enough lottery tickets in that you have some players that people want. Because I think it's easy to constantly use picks to just buy the crusty players, which I like the crusty players. But then when you try to sell the crusty players and like get value back, usually people don't want those. Yeah. Whereas if you have a younger player, people will still talk themselves into the dynasty narrative that they'll buy it back into that. And I think that's a hard part of not taking any of those because there's many times where I'm like, well, I don't want to move my future first. I have all these old pieces, but whenever I try to ask people to trade, they're like, oh, well, I don't really want like Kyler. I would rather have, Rashee Rice. And it's like, well, like, like you need to have enough pieces that people would want outside of just picks. And I think a big aspect as well is early picks are amazing, right? Early picks are, if you can get a top 6 pick, I'm not trading out of that. And 2, if your league is also very inactive, I'm not trying to get rid of picks because if it's super active, future picks are so valuable because I know I can send a third here, send a second, do whatever I need to patch these holes. If it's not active at all, and there's some teams that are just like voids for all these assets and they just collect things and never check, those are the teams that, like I need to have youth. And if I miss, I miss. But if I hit, I hit. But I know I'm not going to be able to constantly trade my way out of bad situations.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of in a vacuum talk. I think people really remember, especially like the late first two. Like if we're talking about moving off of playoff first on teams that you're trying to contend and turn that into contending assets. Like people remember the Caleb Johnsons, but man, I mean, like I don't want to get too willy nilly with moving first for players that are only going to help me for one season, um, or pushing that in too far versus moving back or being willing to take those shots because people remember the Caleb Johnsons, but at the end of the first we got two top 10 tight ends people were picking. We had first round receivers that were going towards, in between the middle and end of the first.
Jackson Dart, early
First round
second.
quarterback. Or yeah.
And like Jackson Dart's probably going to be going early third round startup, early second, or not early second, but late second.
Yeah. And the thing too, like, and it's hard to do like the player for player comparisons because we could do this with Dart and it's like, okay, are we even going to get a quarterback like that in this next class? Especially after the Cam Ward pick this last year for teams. But to me, it's just more the conversation of a first round pick when you are like heading into a rookie draft can be anything for any team, and it's not necessarily a specific individual player. Like you talked about with the contending assets, like when you buy Devontae Adams, he is only useful for teams, that are making this playoff push, and you cannot always get what you paid for. Beat me to it by 3 seconds. Yep.
Shouts to Kyle the caveman.
Kyle the caveman, let's go. Traded Gainwell. Oh, Allen and Gainwell for a mid-first Genty and JJ McCarthy 11-man superflex. I have Herbert and Stafford. Might just scrape into the playoffs, but not really contending. What are your thoughts? Mid-first and Genty and JJ, but you already have Herbert and Stafford. I rarely move off of elite quarterbacks for.
You like the Josh Allen to JJ McCarthy tear down?
I will not paint it like that. I will paint it like
no, I'm
Genty in a mid first, but yeah, the not really contending part. I understand like on teams where you're not really contending and you have these Josh Allens and you're like, how often am I going to be able to cash out for, top 5 dynasty running back?
Last year's 101, a first, and a meme. I mean, it's you got a lot going for you. It's always hard. I don't think there's ever a Josh Allen deal where I'd just be like, yeah, that's too good. Like maybe if someone's like, here's 6 first-round picks and something, I'll be like, okay, sure. Like I'm like, I have to take that deal.
Yeah.
But it's something where it's like if Jinty becomes the next Jonathan Taylor and it's just a slow start, and once the situation gets better, he starts crushing, then it's like, okay, I can deal with this more. Especially in 11-man, you do split some of the assets here. That being said, I mean, Gainwell was still a cheap, viable asset in a 11-man. I wonder if it is a 10-team. If it's a 10-team league, I'd feel much better about it than a 12-team, but still.
9 picks, 3 firsts, a second, 4 thirds, and a fourth. Yeah, the only thing with this is like tacking on. So after this trade, you have the
12-man
start 11. So 12 by 11. Where you're starting to approach where like I'm fine doing these down tiers if I'm already set up positions to make sure I'm like hitting smash positional spots. So I understand the process behind it. I'm sure you did this, Moose. I say this every time these kind of trades come across my desk at the Dynasty Daddy Tuesday night trade show. When I'm moving Josh Allen, I know sometimes you can fall into a trap of like someone hits your inbox with an interesting offer. Somebody sends you Genty and a mid first for Josh Allen, and you're like, no, I wouldn't do this, but like, let me see what we could do if this is the starting point. Josh Allen is in that trade block. Everybody, I'm not contending this year. Come get Josh Allen. Like, ring my line because you will get lock it in dynasty assets for people to acquire. What's been a top 5 quarterback every year he's played for the past like 8 years. That's probably my boring answer. I do like Genty and the role's awesome, but to me, like the production is good. Like the receiving floor and the role questions that we had at the beginning of the season were answered a little bit.
Trading Josh Allen conundrum. It's
And it's like the expectations too of like to me, when I'm trading for a specific player and I'm sending away like an asset like Josh Allen, it's like, why does it have to be Genty? And I like Genty and I'm fine with buying Genty. But to me, it's like, if I'm moving Josh Allen, can I aim for something I'm way more confident in, is like 100% impactful, difference making asset week in and week out? That's my boring answer.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I don't think the value's bad, and I think if GT smashes, then you'll be like, okay, cool. Like if he becomes Jameer Gibbs and you get a first, okay, I feel fine with that. Um, yeah, I think Josh Allen still probably has like 2 to 3 years of elite, untouchable dynasty value left, given that his play still holds up. But I don't hate the split, but it is one of those things where it's like I don't know if I'm ever going to feel good moving Josh Allen, unless the overpay is insane. You know?
The one part about having Herbert and Stafford already, I mean, it's kind of interesting with, you're not contending this year. Like that's the kind of move where it's like, oh, okay, maybe you like make your contending team a lot better because you're like so stacked at quarterback that you're the kind of team that can move off of Allen to have a sick contending push here. So it's interesting because my only thing is, before this trade, you have Josh Allen, Herbert, Stafford, and you have 2 firsts. So I know you have 3 firsts after this trade. So it sounds like you would have 2 firsts, a second, 4 thirds, and a fourth. In a 12 by 11, can I keep Josh Allen and use the quarterbacks and the other picks to fill out the slot where I would have put it in the Genty production for next year? Versus, because I feel like in 12 by 11s, when I have built up enough assets and I have a strong enough starting roster, I am like, the final piece is like, can I take 2 firsts and a player and get Josh Allen now that I have like built a strong enough contending team in a 12 by 11? All right. Kyle the Caveman traded May and a mid 26 first for Burrow in the 102 and another mid first. What do you guys think? I love it.
Yeah, I think that's a great deal.
And I like May.
I think
and
it's similar.
I think May deserves the respect he's getting in terms of dynasty rankings, being a first round pick. He's balling. The MVP consideration.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those, like Drake May does have the upside in the build that he could become that next Josh Allen tier quarterback that we just all lock in. But he also might not. We've seen a ton of 1-year wonders kind of fizzle out, and CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels, which is not always his case, but or his fault. But there's a lot of guys out there, and it comes down to consistency and then also just the production. Like, how much is his production? Does he give you those 40-point, 50-point games that Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson can? Which I do believe he can. But that said, it's kind of like looking at Justin Jefferson tear down to CeeDee Lamb, or JSN to CeeDee Lamb and picking up an extra first in 2 seconds. Like, there's so much value here of I get Burrow and I get
102.
102. I get my pick of all the wide receivers this year, and I get another mid first that could be so many other options. I mean, it could be the running back from Nebraska. It could be Mendoza. It could be whatever. So there's a lot of extra value here. And the deeper your league is as well, this is just getting better. And I know the mid first prop basically cancel out. I assume you said all the picks are 26. So
yeah,
the 2 mid first are probably like going from the 107 to the 106 or something. But locking up a 102 and the downgrade from Burrow to May, to me, it's like that 102 is a juicy pick that could become another elite tier Emeka Egbuka, Tech McMillan type locked in dynasty asset that we've seen. So it's worth the shot. Like, this is one of those things where it's like, if I can take a 10% haircut on one player value and just tear down at that position, but I get a top tier bullet, like a top tier lottery ticket to put in, I want to take that, even if I miss. But it's hard to miss on the 102. Like, people are always going to be buying in on the 102.
Oh yeah. What that's going to hold. I mean, think about every top 5 rookie pick, for a couple of seasons. Like, there's a lot that goes for running backs and wide receivers and quarterbacks in terms of grace that we'll give. I mean, this is I don't even think I can even give a stance on like draft picks. Like I can give expectations for like generally what I think the first round will look like in terms of like what you think the NFL draft will end up looking like, what receivers will go. I mean, I'm probably gonna let draft capital situation if it's close enough in terms of, you know, a top 10 pick for some of these guys. Um, but yeah, I think I'm
Yeah,
probably
I
stitching
mean,
my wagon to Jeremiah Love, wherever he goes in the first round.
well, I think Jeremiah Love's the 101,
Right, that's what I was saying.
most
But
likely. Um, but I think I first off, I will say, if you want us to discuss all of this, this is the off season. We are going to be diving into so many mock drafts, so
yeah,
much conversation around these players. So definitely stay tuned to all of that. Um, I just pulled up the NFL mock drafts database site. Right now, they have Jordan Tyson as the going fifth overall to the Browns. Then Tate at 10. And then they have, I think, where's the other one? Mekhi Lemon, 12 to the Dolphins. I think if we really have three high-end wide receivers in the top 15, you can't really go wrong. But I'd probably just take Tyson, given the draft capital. That being said, there's going to be a lot of conversations, a lot going on between now
oh
and
yeah.
then. So we're going to certainly see rankings change and all that. But it's an amazing spot to be in, is to have your pick of the litter. And then if you're like, hey, man, I don't really care, you can always trade back and maybe get extra picks, extra whatever. You know,
Mhm.
like if you don't want to make the pick, you can always trade back to the 104 and just say, I'll take whichever one's there and pick up that extra value.
Moose, this was the Josh Allen Genty mid first trade. Thanks. My league is still debating it after 2 weeks, and I wanted to hear from people who know what they're talking about. Dang. I mean, I get it. That's a big trade. That's worthwhile
I mean,
being discussed in the sleeper chat.
we almost talked about it for 2 weeks. I mean, that's one of those trades. It's
For,
like, yeah, it's a lot of value, but it's also like, yeah, it's moving Josh Allen.
yeah. Oh man, I moved
I
off
was,
of some Josh Allen recently, but it's been for like Lamar, Jane Daniels, unfortunately.
wait, did you get a plus on top of Lamar, or was that like
Yeah.
before the Lamar fall off?
No, there was a Jane Daniels and a first for Josh Allen was one of the trades. And then
Oh yeah, I do that.
Jane Daniels, I think I like there was like whatever, some other running back or something involved. Not worth more than like a late second. But yeah, definitely some felt like I could take the couple weeks of Lamar coming back from the injury, but it's been tough. You guys ever do team reviews live? Yeah, we do the like live stream asks. Those generally look more like addressing a specific ask or question. So like, you know, it's better pointed when it's like you come forth with the team and is like, here's what I'm thinking, here's where the team's at, something about the league, and then some specific pointed, you know, what would you guys do with this team to make a push for the playoffs, or you know, what running backs could I add to this roster? You do more in-depth roster reviews that people can sign up for through the site, correct, Jeremy?
Yeah, they're like a 23-ish minute video. I break down the league, go through all the questions that you submit. They're usually pre-recorded. I've done like one live, but it's always just like a scheduling thing. I'm like, okay, I don't want to worry about setting up the live stream and all of that, making sure that it's good. I'm like, let me just be able to, just focus on recording the thing. But it's usually a video, and I send it out through email. But it'll be like an unlisted video on the site or on the YouTube channel.
Jake, hit us with the good
Also,
stuff.
shout outs to the 102 and the 103.
Oh, let's go.
Like, trade back to the 103 if you want. And he's like, I already got that.
104 and 105 sounds appealing too. Yeah, I'm excited too. Like I say it all the time. Say what you will about how you feel about the strength of a class, and a lot of people tend to like point to the quarterback class in superflex leagues being like the crux of how strong a class is. But the NFL draft will come around, and players that score fantasy points at the wide receiver position, at the running back position, at the quarterback position, and probably at least one around there at the tight end position will be going to NFL teams, and we will be getting excited about those first round picks. About honestly better than last year. Yeah, I think in terms of like prospect expectations for like draft capital, um,
For sure. Yeah.
for sure.
I'm
But
curious. I'm trying to remember all. I
I
mean,
could see it
last year
being
we had
similar
like the
though.
Hunter.
Yeah,
We had the
Tet,
Hunter thing.
Egbuka, and the what the 20 was he the 21st? He
Yeah, we had Tet, Matthew Golden, Igbuka,
Matthew Golden, yeah.
Luther Burden. 26, we have Tyson, Tate, Lemon, Denzel Boston, Chris Bell, KC, Concepcion.
I know
Those are
27
kind of the
people
big
are
ones.
getting pretty hyped for in terms of
Well, 27 just has the Ryan Williams and Cam Coleman. He's getting hyped. And then obviously Jeremiah Smith. It's kind of those three are leading the charge. But there's other ones in there.
Tex wants the counter for the trade offer. Can you find a way to get it first? That I think that would be our counter for this you guy wants Burrow Chase back for
Especially if it's a
May,
late first.
Judkins Henderson.
If it's a late first, I would just put I do know Ryan Williams has regressed a little bit, so yeah, I for some reason the 2027 mock draft database has Ryan Williams as first, but obviously it's Jeremiah Smith and Cam Coleman. I think are the top two so far. But hey, we got 2 years to figure it out, so
Right.
I'm not too concerned.
He has no picks, LOL, for not for 3 years. Does he have any like that is kind of tough because usually the stars don't align where there's like a injured next year kind of bad player. Does he have like a Tucker Craft, like those kind of players?
Yeah, I would need to have some sort of dynasty insulated injured player or something, or he's just like,
Yeah.
hey, I'll give you a Justin Jefferson or something, like a player that's not performing that he might want to keep, like maybe instead put it like that. I'm not about doing a trade back. I don't think that makes a ton
Yeah,
of sense.
and to
Plus, you might
like
get the collusion allegations.
and we both think T-Back is, I mean, a stud, wide receiver one,
Oh yeah,
for sure. But like that is a different stratosphere conversation than what Jamar Chase has given us and we are expecting to give us in the same situation.
yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I'm motivated to make that deal unless if like
It has to be
I
meaningful.
want these players really bad. Like, what's the motivation for you to trade back?
Oh, a new guy in the league. Yeah, the trade, the like moving, and that's honestly, I mean, I would probably not have
Do it for the meme.
I would not have the balls to tuck my tail between my legs and go ask for a trade back on Joe Burrow now that he's healthy. But I kind of get it, man. I'm kind of feeling it on the opposite end of all the Flacco I bought and was like, hey, let's go, my quarterback for the rest of the season. I'll live with the ups and downs of Flacco. No more
Go out there and get
ups.
Tyrod.
Do I have me some Tyrod? All right. I did hit the Alpha Daddy trade. I want to make sure I pulled that one up. Do we have I don't think we have a will trade to look at. Unless you want to look at this I kind of already talked about the Alpha Daddy trade I made. Getting
I have an
Stafford.
inbox trade, an Alpha Daddy.
Oh, let's go.
Someone sent me.
Let's hear it.
It's a pretty simple one. My team's a rebuilder. I got AJ Brown. I was offered a playoff first.
Ooh. Playoff first. How good is this team? Or do you not want to leak the manager so I can use it to my advantage? Ooh, is it a McCaff?
I think it's a yeah.
Don't do that because I need him to lose so that I can get the bye. So no, do not. I will not do
So
that.
Will help out Will here.
I'll send you 5 fab to not do that trade with that guy. Is that collusion, guys?
Just a no 5. Yeah, wow. That's
no.
I get AJ Brown in 5 fab, or I do that trade.
I could see myself sending a playoff first for AJ Brown. I'm trying to get a motherfucking running back in this league though. Nobody will answer my trade requests.
You want Pacheco? Sean Tucker? Kareem
No,
Hunt?
bro, I want Kareem. I don't want Pacheco. No, I'm probably hoping this uh Tracy injury is not too bad. That's my running back production
Yeah,
I'm banking on. Fine after suffering
I
hip
am. I
contusion.
am.
Nice. Let's go.
I am feeling the
I take the first.
similar to McFuss Daddy. Shouts to the daddies. I am kind of feeling I'd take a first. Like it's. I was thinking earlier in the year, like what I was like, I feel like you just cash out at a certain point,
Yeah.
especially in a deep rebuild. Like this team is kind of ugly, but it is probably going to be the 1-0 or the 110 because Will's going to get the bye
True.
and good top two.
Well, maybe I mean if he gets AJ Brown and wins this week, that's the buy you're trading the first for. So that's kind of an interesting kind of thought process for you because
Well,
this
AJ Brown also
first you're
might score
requiring.
2 points.
That's true. It might be a good trap card you're setting down.
It might honestly help you more
And he is playing
because he's had 2 really good weeks.
the
So.
McCaff hurts pretty bad. The team that you would be trading AJ Brown for the first is playing Dabadoobie, team we looked at who has T-Law, Jacobs, Judkins, Nakua, JSN, Marv, Ferguson, Zay Flowers, Swift, and Brissett. That's a pretty sick team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
Oh my
hard, but it's
gosh.
also like my team needs a lot of work.
Yeah. I think maybe you do it. You actually he might not get to buy. He's got CMC on buy, Purdy on buy, Chuba on buy, Kittle on buy. He's gonna be plugging in.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's rough.
I mean, he's probably going to
Josh Downs.
He's probably going to a couple different managers. AJ Brown is getting younger. If he goes to the Pats, they spread out too much. Oh, the Pats landing spot.
I mean, it would be literally like a 29-year-old wide receiver at that point, though. So it's like at a certain point that the age and stuff, people are not going to be cashing out even on the hype.
Why can't you have an AJ Brown level running back I can trade my first for?
Joe Mixon, man, Joe Mixon, he's coming back. I think
he did refute that one of those reports.
Yeah, he did. That was a fun. But yeah, I've been thinking about that one.
Is there any fun pluses you can get as like a little make you feel better type of move? Pull up this trade. Actually,
I don't want to like be too greedy.
I should probably just do this, huh? This is bad podcasting, huh? That I don't have literally the league pulled up. All right, guys, we're gonna close out with this. Pulling up the league. So trying not to get greedy.
I mean, I feel like I could be like, give me a third, but then it's like what? Like I guess I could like toss in like maybe a Kareem Hunt or something. Like try to get some additional value for a player that just doesn't make sense on my roster long term.
Yeah, and it's
like an Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, you got another offer from Dabadoobie. And you know what's this is a love triangle of trade collusion right now because Dabadoobie.
It is. This is some trade collusion.
Dabadoobie plays this guy this week in the league. So I'm kind of down for you to accept this Dabadoobie trade. Dabadoobie, you beat him and I beat you, or you don't beat me by 50 points and I get the buy. Let's work together to get me the buy in Alpha Daddy. I'm down. I still have to be.
I don't know if a second and Wayndale Robinson is gonna move the needle though.
I still have to be Addy Huts here. This seems pretty good. But I believe in my boys. They fought hard. Yeah, I mean you got like the T, Devonta. I mean, have you tried to move Terry? You might be getting some Terry AJ Brown offers.
Yeah, that's something I need to just like send out a million offers or whatever.
I mean, mine's
the only ones. Like I was like, I know I needed to move the Daniels or not Daniels, but what's his name? Daniel Jones. Because I was already like, I'm very heavily invested in May and Jaden Daniels. That a Daniel Jones doesn't make sense a ton on my roster.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I did that the first round pick deal, the 2 first round pick trade. But the other players, I'm like, I was like, well, I'm just gonna hold AJ Brown and McLaurin because they're injured all year. But now they're starting to pop at the right time, and that's kind of where you see the people are willing to pay those values when they actually need the points now. So I don't know. I do need to probably send a McLaurin out in the AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Now that people want him.
I know, and not, it's you're not in a huge rush. There is no trade deadline in the Alpha Daddy League, so but obviously,
I did not know that.
Obviously, the teams are probably a little bit more pressed to get a deal done for AJ Brown types when some of these teams are fighting to secure the buy. And I could see, I think, funny enough, I'm not expecting him to play this week, but the pressure report stuff is good for Mike Evans. I probably would be in on the can I trade you a first round pick for AJ Brown or one of these receivers that you have sweepstakes if I didn't do that. But man, I've been rolling my Juwan Johnson out, and I've been reaping the profits of Will's favorite random tight end.
Yeah, and the Tyron Tracy experience.
We got David Montgomery. He'll give me his 8 carries and a touchdown, maybe, please, on his 32% snaps. Dude, I actually need to do this. This needs to be the close to the stream. Man, am I trading for Chris Rodriguez right now? Is that where we've come to? I almost bought Jaylen Warren.
The must buy.
I probably should buy
Jaylen Warren would have probably been a good one.
Well, Jaylen Warren actually, funny enough, was a part of the Stafford trade I made. If we want to get fully in the weeds on this, I'll pull up this.
This is Alpha Daddy lore.
That's
what the people want.
Alpha Daddy lore. I bought Stafford and Mike Evans for Marshawn Lloyd, Ollie Gordon in 2 seconds. The original offer that was sent to me was Stafford and Jaylen Warren for my first, which I think is fair, but I wanted to see if I could get Stafford for cheaper, or at least cheaper enough that made me feel good about it. And I think I accomplished that. Shout out to me. All right. Any closing thoughts? I don't think we're getting a Jeremy AJ Brown trade done on the stream. I think he's going to go to the bathroom, open up the phone, respond to some offers.
Might have to put the AJ Brown on the block.
Dang, the AJ Brown on the block. Hey, I'm sure he's hit it. He's had to have hit it a couple times with the way your team is set up. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that.
Okay. You don't have to blast me like that.
I gotta charge the battery pack.
We got to charge battery. What a way to close.
Perfect timing. Before I disappear forever, thank you all for watching. Join the Discord, link in the description if you're not in there already. Watch the Fantasy Red Zone video that Jeremy uploaded on the channel, and definitely check that out. If you guys at least give it a go. Like if you're like, no, I like the way I do it, at least try it out. It is very cool. I think it is worth taking a look at, especially if you're in a handful of leagues and find it difficult to keep track. I know a lot of people that join these streams are in, 12, 13, 14, 15 plus dynasty leagues. And it's kind of I've got 4 shares of this guy. That's what I bank on, but I just check the scores during the games. Definitely give it a go. Jeremy, any parting words?
Yeah, I mean, you covered pretty much everything. I love the new people in the chat. So shout outs, we always want to be growing. Stay plugged in with the channel. We will be doing this through the season, but also through the off season. This is Dynasty, so there's no days off. So definitely stay plugged in with the Discord. I've also been posting a little bit more on the Reddit. So if you're on the Reddit communities and stuff, check that out. Feel free to post there as well. Trying to grow that, but obviously let's have a great playoff push for all the teams trying to fight for a bye or the playoff spot, and let's go make some trades.
Heck yeah, I'm doing it. I'm heeding your advice. I've got 2 leagues in mind. I need to get deals done, and I'm hitting the send offer button tonight. Put in the waiver claims. Appreciate you all. See ya next week. And I've disappeared. Say bye, Jeremy.
Peace.